You think clearly under fire, you act decisively in chaos, you uphold the Constitution, and you uphold our country without hesitation. We are not defenders anymore. We are warriors, trained to kill the enemy and break their will. History is watching. Be the force you swore an oath to be: focused, disciplined, lethal, and unbreakable.
The last sea mining sites threatening the Strait of Hormuz were about to be wiped out in a joint operation that combined the silent precision of the U.S. 7th Navy SEALs with the overwhelming firepower of Marine ground units. This was the final blow designed to completely eliminate the Iranian ability to lay mines and finally allow unrestricted passage through one of the world's most critical shipping lanes. At the 5th Fleet Forward Base in the Middle East, the selected 7th SEAL Team and attached Marine assault elements began their final preparations with the kind of calm intensity that only comes from years of high-stakes operations. In the dimly lit ready rooms, SEAL operators moved with quiet purpose. They packed specialized dry bags and rucksacks with suppressed weapons, night vision goggles, underwater demolition charges, flex cuffs, medical kits, extra ammunition, water, and small personal items. Each man checked and rechecked his gear multiple times, testing every zipper, buckle, and strap. Rifles were fitted with suppressors, optics were zeroed, and magazines were loaded with subsonic rounds for maximum silence. Snipers calibrated their precision rifles and confirmed ballistic data for the coastal terrain. Communications specialists tested encrypted radios and backup satellite links. Body armor was adjusted for perfect fit, helmets strapped on, and night vision devices powered up and tested in the dark. The SEALs moved with calm professionalism. These were the quiet professionals chosen for the most sensitive raid of the entire campaign. At the same time, the Marine assault teams were preparing their heavier equipment. Amphibious combat vehicles, ACVs, and LCAC hovercraft were being loaded on the well decks of support ships. Marines in full combat kit climbed aboard, securing rifles, body armor, breaching tools, and extra ammunition. Crews performed final mechanical checks on the ACV's tracks and weapons stations, while LCSC operators tested the massive fans and skirts. The Marines knew their role was to provide the heavy ground presence and secure the beachhead once the SEALs had cleared the immediate threats. Colonel Marcus Reynolds, the overall mission commander, gathered both the SEAL teams and the Marine assault leaders for one final briefing. He stood in front of a large digital map showing the exact locations of the last Iranian sea mining sites along the Hormuz coastline. He traced the infiltration routes, explained the layout of the mining facilities, the positions of the guards, the storage bunkers, and the best extraction points. He described how the SEALs would insert first by small boats and swim teams to silently neutralize the outer security, while the Marines would follow in ACVs and LCACs to secure the wider area and destroy the mining infrastructure. He emphasized absolute silence during the initial phase and overwhelming force once the alarm was raised. "We hit them hard and fast," he told them. "The strait opens today." After the briefing, the teams moved into final execution mode. The 7th SEAL team boarded rigid inflatable boats and small combatant craft launched from the mother ships. They moved silently across the water under cover of darkness, then slipped into the sea for the final swim approach to the coastline. At the same moment, the Marine assault teams boarded their ACVs and LCACs on the well decks. The hovercraft fans spun up, lifting the craft onto their air cushions as they prepared to race toward the beach. From the aircraft carrier nearby, air support was already in position. F-35 stealth jets were fueled and armed, standing by on the flight deck for immediate launch if the ground teams called for close air support. The carrier's crew worked efficiently, ensuring the jets could be airborne within minutes if the SEALs or Marines needed overhead firepower. The operation launched in perfect coordination. The SEAL swim teams reached the coastline first, emerging from the water like shadows. They moved inland silently, neutralizing perimeter guards with suppressed weapons and knives, quick, efficient, and completely quiet. No alarms were raised. The SEALs reached the outer fences of the sea mining sites, cut through with suppressed tools, and slipped inside the facilities. At the exact same moment, the LCAC hovercraft and ACVs roared toward the beach. The hovercraft skimmed across the water on cushions of air, spraying seawater behind them as they raced forward. The moment they hit the sand, ramps dropped and Marines poured out, forming into assault teams and pushing inland. The ACVs rolled off behind them, tracks gripping the beach, as they transitioned from water to land and immediately began providing fire support. The two forces converged rapidly. The SEALs inside the mining sites marked targets and provided real-time intelligence, while the Marines secured the wider perimeter. The fighting was intense, but one-sided. Iranian guards and technicians tried to destroy equipment and set off alarms, but the SEALs were already among them, neutralizing threats with surgical precision. Marines cleared outer buildings and storage areas with rifles and grenades, using the ACVs for mobile firepower and cover. Colonel Marcus Reynolds monitored the entire operation from the command center aboard the USS Tripoli LHA-7, watching live feeds as the SEALs and Marines worked in perfect synchronization. When resistance stiffened at one of the main storage bunkers, he called for air support. Within minutes, F-35 stealth jets launched from the carrier, streaking over the battlefield to deliver precision strikes on enemy strongpoints that the ground teams could not reach safely. The combination of silent SEAL infiltration, Marine ground assault, and F-35 air support proved overwhelming. One by one, the sea mining sites were captured and destroyed. Demolition charges were placed on critical production machinery, storage bunkers, and launching ramps. Controlled explosions echoed across the coastline as the last facilities capable of producing and deploying mines into the strait were reduced to rubble. The source of the threat that had closed the waterway was eliminated. With the mining sites destroyed, the first oil tankers that had been waiting offshore began to move cautiously toward the strait. Colonel Marcus Reynolds stood on the deck of the USS Tripoli, watching the live feeds as the first tankers entered the reopened strait. Around him, the command team exchanged steady, satisfied glances. The joint operation between the 7th Navy SEALs and the Marines had succeeded in removing the last physical threat to the strait. While the immediate threat from the sea mining sites was eliminated, the broader fight is not yet finished. Supporting forces continue to deploy in the Middle East, ready to support the final push. The Marines and SEALs who executed the mission returned quietly to base. There were no loud celebrations, just the quiet satisfaction of professionals who had done their job perfectly. The Iranian sea mining capability had been destroyed, and the strait was beginning to open. Colonel Marcus Reynolds looked out over the water where the first tankers were now visible on the horizon. He turned to his team and said simply, "The mines are gone. The strait is opening. The mission continues."